The Total Money Makeover Workbook by Dave Ramsey. Picture this. You're standing in your driveway next to a gorgeous Jaguar that screams success. Then you watch a utility worker walk up to your house and yank the electric meter right off the wall. Power gone. Pride shattered. This was Dave Ramsey's rock-bottom moment. And here's the kicker. Just a few years before, the guy was an actual millionaire. At 26 years old, he'd built a real estate empire. The mansion, the fancy cars, a net worth with 7 digits. He was crushing it. Then, poof. Bad decisions plus mountains of debt equals losing absolutely everything. How broke was he? That beautiful Jaguar he couldn't bear to part with? It leaked oil so badly that driving it was like being in a low-budget action movie, leaving a trail of smoke for miles. He literally couldn't afford to fix it. Think about that. A millionaire piloting a smoke machine down the highway. But here's where the story gets good. That humiliation, that absolute faceplant into financial disaster, became the birthplace of one of the biggest money movements in modern times. Dave didn't learn finance in some ivory tower at an elite university. He learned it in the school of hard knocks, clawing his way back from bankruptcy with his bare hands. What he discovered along the way is what we're diving into today with the Total Money Makeover. This isn't just another personal finance book gathering dust on shelves. This thing has moved over 5 million copies and become the Bible for anyone who's, as Dave puts it, absolutely sick and tired of being sick and tired. So here's my promise to you. Stick with me, and by the end, you'll have a simple, battle-tested roadmap to take complete control of your money. No confusing spreadsheets. No sketchy stock tips. Just a plan that actually works to transform your life. We're talking about building a future where bills don't make your stomach drop, where you're calling the shots, and where you have the freedom to live and give in ways you've only imagined. The path to real wealth starts with one powerful idea. If you're willing to live like no one else now, later you can live like no one else. So where does this journey actually start? Right in front of the mirror. Not your bathroom mirror, but your financial mirror. And honestly, for most of us, what's staring back is someone who's more than a little out of shape. Dave drops a bombshell right out of the gate. 70% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Let that sink in. 7 out of 10 families are literally one car repair, one surprise medical bill away from complete crisis mode. Yet if you ask them, most would swear up and down they're doing fine. This is hurdle number 1, denial. We convince ourselves we're financially healthy because we can cover the minimum payments. We've got a decent car, a nice place, we can afford dinner out. We look the part, right? Dave tells this story about Bob and Sarah, this couple who seemed to have it all figured out. They were pulling in nearly $100,000 a year, living in a $400,000 dream home, cruising around in 2 leased luxury vehicles. Their friends probably envied them. But behind the curtain, their net worth was negative. They were drowning in a sea of payments. Massive mortgage, expensive car leases, over $50,000 in credit card debt. They looked rich but were actually broke. This is the trap so many of us fall into. We're not wealthy. We've just become really, really good at pretending we are. And why? Because we've swallowed a bunch of lies about money. These myths are so common, we just accept them as gospel truth. The biggest whopper of all? That debt is a tool. We're told you need it to build wealth, to leverage other people's money. Dave calls this the most destructive lie in the financial universe. Debt isn't a tool. It's a product that banks market to us because they get filthy rich off our interest payments. His radical take? The best way to build wealth is to become completely, totally, utterly debt-free. Think about car payments. They're just part of life, right? Practically a rite of passage. The average car payment is pushing $500 a month. But here's the mind-blowing part. What if instead of sending that money to a bank for the next 40 years, you invested it? Dave crunched the numbers. A 25-year-old who invests that $495 every month until retirement would end up with over $5 million. For the privilege of always driving a new car, we're trading away an absolute fortune. Or how about the myth that you need a credit card to build credit, to rent cars, or book hotels? Dave says it's a trap. A debit card does virtually everything a credit card does, with one crucial difference. It can't drag you into debt. The truth is, we've been brainwashed into thinking debt is normal. We've forgotten that just a couple generations back, the Sears catalog actually said, "Buying on credit is folly." Now, stores make more money from credit card interest than from actually selling stuff. So we've got denial and these myths we've internalized. But there are two more personal roadblocks keeping us stuck. First is ignorance. Not stupidity, just lack of know-how. Nobody pops out of the womb financially savvy. It's a learned skill, like driving, and most of us never got the lesson. We're managing millions of dollars that'll flow through our hands over a lifetime with less training than it takes to get a learner's permit. The second roadblock, and maybe the most powerful, is keeping up with the Joneses. We see friends with new rides, neighbors renovating their kitchens, and that voice whispers, "I deserve that too." We're hardwired to crave approval and respect, and we foolishly think our stuff, our car, our clothes, our house, will deliver it. This is what keeps people like Bob and Sarah trapped. Deep down, they know they should sell the house and the cars, but the thought of what people would say, that's too painful for their pride to handle. Which brings us to the most important principle in the entire book, the mantra that everything else builds on. If you will live like no one else now, later you can live like no one else. It means making sacrifices today that your friends won't touch, so you can enjoy a level of freedom and peace tomorrow that they'll only fantasize about. It's choosing the temporary pain of change over the endless pain of money problems. Once you truly embrace that principle, you're ready for the plan. The plan itself is beautifully simple. It's called the 7 baby steps. But Dave is crystal clear. You absolutely must do them in order. Trying to tackle them all at once or skip ahead is like building a house without a foundation. Eventually, the whole thing collapses. Before you even take that first step, though, you need to pour the foundation. That foundation is a written, monthly, zero-based budget, non-negotiable. A zero-based budget means every single dollar of your income gets assigned a job before the month starts. Income minus expenses equals 0. You're telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. If you're married, you and your spouse hammer this out together. Every single month, the budget becomes the boss. With that foundation solid, you're ready for baby step 1. Baby step 1 is saving $1,000 as a starter emergency fund. This isn't your full safety net. It's a small cushion between you and life's inevitable curveballs. Because, as Dave loves to say, it's gonna rain. Your transmission will die. Your kid will need emergency dental work. Murphy will show up at your doorstep. Without this little buffer, the first minor crisis sends you running straight back to the credit card, and your whole plan derails before it even gets moving. This $1,000 isn't for Christmas shopping or a sale at the furniture store. It's for true emergencies only. It's that first small victory that builds momentum. Once you've got your 1,000 stashed away, you move to the most famous part of the plan, baby step 2, the debt snowball. This is where you attack your debt with what Dave calls gazelle intensity. Picture a gazelle being hunted by a cheetah. It doesn't casually stroll away. It runs like its life depends on it, zigzagging with laser focus. That's the mindset you need. Here's the system. List all your debts: credit cards, car loans, student loans, medical bills, everything except your mortgage, from smallest balance to largest. Make minimum payments on all of them, except the tiniest one, that smallest debt. You attack it with every spare dollar you can scrape together. You work overtime. You sell stuff. You stop eating out. You throw everything at it until it's dead and gone. Now, some people will argue this is mathematically wrong. They'll insist you should target the highest interest rate first. But Dave argues this isn't about math, it's about behavior. Personal finance is 80% behavior and only 20% head knowledge. The debt snowball is designed to give you a quick win. When you knock out that first small debt, you feel a surge of victory. You see actual progress. You get fired up. He tells this great story about the fridge lady, a woman with a doctorate who took her debt snowball form, blew it up poster size, and stuck it on her refrigerator. Every time she eliminated a debt, she'd grab a big red marker and cross it off, literally yelling, "Oh yeah, we are getting out of debt." Sounds silly, maybe, but she understood the psychology of celebrating small wins to rewire behavior. Once that first debt is toast, you take that payment and roll it on to the next smallest debt. Now you're paying the minimum plus the old payment from the first debt. The snowball is growing. When the second debt vanishes, you roll both those payments onto the third. The snowball gets bigger and faster as it rolls downhill, until it becomes an avalanche that obliterates all your debt. While you're doing this, you must do one other critical thing: stop borrowing. Cut up the credit cards. Draw a line in the sand and make yourself a promise: never borrow money again. After 18 to 24 months of this intense focus, most people find themselves debt-free, except for their house. And they're ready for baby step 3, finish your emergency fund. Now you take all that money you were throwing at debt, that giant snowball payment, and redirect it into savings. Your goal is building a fund covering 3 to 6 months of living expenses. This isn't a rainy day fund anymore. This is a storm shelter. This ensures that if you lose your job or face a major medical crisis, you can weather it without stress and without ever borrowing again. For most families, we're talking somewhere between $5,000 and $25,000, parked in a simple money market account. Dave shares something personal here. Because of the trauma from their bankruptcy, his wife Sharon needed a very large emergency fund to feel secure. He admits that even though he, the investment guy, knew the money could earn more elsewhere, the peace of mind it gave his wife was the best return on investment imaginable. This fund isn't just about money. It's about security. It's about kicking Murphy out of your house for good. With all consumer debt gone and a fully loaded emergency fund, you're standing on solid ground. And you're ready for the exciting part. You're ready to build real wealth. Baby step 4 is investing 15% of your gross household income for retirement. Now, the money that used to feed the banks starts working for you. Dave keeps the investment advice straightforward. He recommends good growth stock mutual funds with solid track records. He suggests spreading investments across 4 types: growth in income, growth, international, and aggressive growth. This diversification manages risk over the long haul. The sequence matters. First, if your company offers a 401k match, invest up to the match. That's literally free money. Next, fund a Roth IRA, where your money grows completely tax-free. If you haven't hit your 15% goal yet, circle back and put the rest in your company's 401k. Once retirement investing is on autopilot, you move to baby step 5, college funding for your kids. The critical thing here is the order. You must fund your own retirement first. Why? Because there are no scholarships or loans for retirement. Your kids can get scholarships, they can work through school, they can choose less expensive options, but you can't borrow your way through retirement. Securing your own future is actually the greatest gift you can give them, because it means you won't become their financial burden later. When retirement and college are being funded, you're ready for the final climb. Baby step 6 is paying off your home mortgage early. You take every extra dollar and throw it at the house payment. Dave demolishes the myth that you should keep a mortgage for the tax deduction. He asks, does it make sense to send $10,000 in interest to the bank just to avoid sending $3,000 to the IRS? Obviously not. The feeling of owning your home free and clear brings a level of security and freedom that a small tax deduction can never touch. An ordinary couple with an average income, attacking this with that same gazelle intensity, can often pay off their home in just 6 or 7 years. And when that final mortgage payment posts, you've arrived. You're at baby step 7, build wealth and give like crazy. You are completely, 100% debt-free. No house payment, no car payment, no student loans, no credit card bills. Every dollar you earn beyond living expenses is yours to command. This is where you become what Dave calls an Arnold Schwarzenegger, a true financial heavyweight. This is the pinnacle point, where your investments start making more money than you do from working. Which brings us back to the ultimate question, why? Why go through all this work and sacrifice? Dave says there are only 3 good uses for money: to have fun, to invest, and to give. Having fun with money is your reward for discipline. It's buying that Harley, taking that dream vacation, or going on a shopping spree without a trace of guilt, because you're paying cash. Investing becomes a joyful game, watching your wealth compound and provide security for generations. But the greatest joy, he says, is giving. Wealth gives you power to transform lives, to help a struggling single mom, to support your church, to fund a cause that fires you up. You become the hero in someone else's story. As Margaret Thatcher once said, no one would have remembered the Good Samaritan if he hadn't had money. Wealth gives power to good intentions. That's the Total Money Makeover. It's a journey from denial and debt to discipline and dignity. It's a proven plan that's worked for millions, not because it's complicated, but because it's simple. It's a path that allows you to finally, truly live like no one else. When we step back and look at the full picture of the Total Money Makeover, what really jumps out is its profound simplicity. In a world drowning in complex financial advice, get-rich-quick schemes, and confusing jargon, Dave Ramsey's message is refreshingly straightforward. He doesn't lecture from some high tower. He talks to you like a trusted friend who's been in your shoes and found the way out. The real genius of this plan isn't in the mathematics, it's in the psychology. The debt snowball is the perfect example. Any financial expert will tell you it's mathematically smarter to pay off your highest interest debt first. But Dave understands something fundamental about human nature. We're not motivated by spreadsheets. We're motivated by hope. When you eliminate that first small debt, you get a shot of pure adrenaline. You get a taste of winning. That feeling is more powerful than any interest rate calculation. It's what keeps you pushing forward when the sacrifice gets tough. The plan is built for real humans, not calculating machines. It acknowledges that our financial problems are rarely knowledge problems. They're behavior problems. For someone at the beginning of their financial journey, this message is an incredible gift. You're standing at this unique point in life where you can sidestep the mistakes that trap so many others. Imagine launching into adulthood with zero debt. Imagine paying cash for your first car. Imagine having a fully funded emergency fund by 25. Following these principles from day one won't just make you wealthy over time. It'll save you decades of stress, worry, and regret. It'll lay the foundation for a life of peace and freedom that most people only daydream about. This book is more than a financial blueprint. It's a philosophy for living. The central idea, to live like no one else now, so later you can live like no one else, is a powerful challenge to reject the cultural obsession with instant gratification. It's about having the wisdom to see the bigger picture, to trade short-term wants for long-term freedom. So how can you start applying these ideas today, right now? Here are 3 simple actions. First, just for the next 30 days, track where your money goes. You don't need some fancy app. Grab a small notebook. Every time you spend money, write it down. Don't judge yourself, just observe. By the end of the month, you'll have a crystal clear picture of your habits, and that awareness is the first step toward real change. Second, have a conversation. Talk to your parents, a grandparent, or a teacher you respect. Ask them, what's the biggest money lesson you ever learned? You'll be amazed at the wisdom people carry, and you'll start seeing how different beliefs about money have shaped their entire lives. And third, start the tiniest saving habit. Can you set aside $5 a week? 10? The amount doesn't matter. The goal is building the muscle of paying yourself first, proving to yourself that you're in control and that you can build a future that's secure and full of possibility. That was a summary of the Total Money Makeover workbook by Dave Ramsey. We've covered the core principles today, the baby steps that have guided millions from debt to financial peace. But a summary, no matter how thorough, is like looking at a map of a beautiful country. The map shows you the path, but it can never replace actually walking the trail yourself. The real power of this book is in the stories, the details, and the way Dave's voice becomes a coach in your head as you work through the exercises. If anything we've talked about today has lit a fire in you, if you've felt even a flicker of hope that things could be different, then I genuinely encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning a plan. It's about starting a journey that can fundamentally reshape your relationship with money and create a legacy of security for your future. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable, please take a moment to like and subscribe. It tells us we're heading in the right direction, and it ensures you won't miss our next deep dive into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep learning and growing together.